Yep, I get how that goes. None of those arms have been thrown much. So.
But these get a couple of balls there.
Yeah. One practice. Well, not even off the ball. They don't throw them batters at one practice.
Oh, boy, that could be interesting then.
Like yellow. Yeah, well, mostly decided that fraction because it rained already.
Oh, did you?
We lost 2 or 3 practices.
Oh, that makes it tough then. Especially starting out.
Yeah.
Some of the kids got
Oh, there's 12 on the team, but I don't know if they're all going to be there at the tournament or not, because 3 of them also played snow.
Oh.
I think they'll be there at the tournament, but I don't know the other guys. I'm not really that involved. I just kind of know.
That's what the weather's doing there.
Yeah, I'll breathe. Be nice to get one. Yeah. Have a good one. You too. Well, we didn't get started. We wouldn't have any games. I'm going to start early.
Well, I show that it's 6 o'clock, so I'm going to call this Park and Rec Board meeting together. So, okay. All righty, thank you. I guess we'll start out with public input. If you need to address a park board on any item that is not on the agenda, excluding personnel items, please come forward to the podium and state your name and concern. Presentations will be limited to 3 minutes. Items will be considered, but no action will be taken. Do you have any public input? Yes, we do. We have 2 items. One item, Nate, the Daily Republic did that article on Cadwell Park, and they made the statement in the article that the city of Mitchell was paying for the bust. That is not the case. And, you know, just trying to head off public sentiment or input before it gets to a head, we probably need to let the Daily Republic know that that is, the city is paying for it, but they're paying for it with funds that the Cadwell family donated. And that's a pretty substantial statement that should have been put in that paper. I didn't read it. I read the article, but that was not in it. Yep, so. And then the second item that I have, Dry Run Creek on Minnesota Street. We have had this problem for numerous years. When they put in those rocks along the shoreline of the Dry Run Creek, on the east side of the Minnesota Street bridge. It takes, well, we shouldn't let it get to be 5 feet high before we trim it down. You're getting all sorts of critters coming up, and because I live in that neighborhood, it has a major effect on our area, but we need to get that taken care of. Right now, because of the rain we had, there's additional waters coming down through there. But if we'd have got to it early, it would not have been the problem it is now. So I would like to see that taken care of as soon as possible. We have the equipment to do it. So anyway, that's all I have on that. Any other public input? If not, we have a couple of delegations. First one would be Dakota Riptide Swim Club. Are they present?
Yep, Rob Parker here.
Good evening. My name is Rob Parker. I'm the president of the Dakota Riptide. For those that are not familiar, Dakota Riptide is a combined group of swimmers from Mitchell and Huron, formerly the Mitchell Aquatic Club. At one time last year, Huron was having some issues, coaching issues and such, and they requested that they come on board with us. We absorbed them, and we're doing great as a team. We're seeing a lot of benefit from the combination of the two teams. The reason I'm here tonight is we started, thankfully, our summer season with the pool. We had a couple months of no swim, about like with every other sport throughout the whole area, and thankfully the city was able to get the pools open and using. We started practice on June 8th, and we were informed by the rec center that we were not going to be able to host our Huron branch of the team. We were like, okay, what's the reasoning? Of course, it's the virus that everyone's scared about and such. But in talking to Kevin and going through our plans, which I do have right here, and I'll hand those out quick. And this is just the highlights of our plan that we put into place. Our coaches have been working the numerous months since our downtime devising this plan, trying to make it the safest it can be for everyone involved, from our swimmers to their families to anyone that comes in contact with our swimmers. We're following federal, state, and local, and also USA Swim guidelines. So putting together this plan with those 4 agencies has been quite a chore, but they have succeeded in what we feel. Excuse me. The idea behind the plan is to schedule and limit the team exposure to the public. Our practice times and everything are not at peak swim times per se. I mean, we rent the pool, we rent the lanes, no one else is really there. We're limiting contact with anyone. Our children have been advised not to use the restrooms, bathrooms, changing rooms, anything like that. They're supposed to come in ready, they get in the water, as soon as they're done, they're out. Parents aren't even supposed to come into the lane to get them. They're supposed to meet them outside, pick them up. So we're really trying to limit the exposure. And one of the main things is, depending on where you read and what you read and who you believe, but chlorine is one of the better avenues of preventing corona. Between the chlorine and the heat, we should not have an issue. Something you do not see in this packet, and something Riptide would offer if it would assist us in getting our teammates down here and practicing with us, would be we would go to having our coaches conduct temperature checks of all of our swimmers and also doing a self-assessment. We would notate it, document it, have it available to the city if required, but we would be willing to take that next step to kind of ease the fear and anything with bringing our Huron swimmers down. In closing, I know the city did a great job of getting this up and running. We greatly appreciate it. The kids appreciate it. And I know as a parent of a swimmer, I am so happy they're back in the water. It's been a long couple months of them just sitting at home being bored. They're loving being back in the water, which is great. Any questions for me? We have 15 swimmers. Yep. We'll have a total of, I think, 67 total. And we've got it devised out in the lane plans that the rec center and the aquatic center have seen and reviewed.
Okay, you want me to talk, or?
Well, I was just wondering if Kevin and
Thomas is here tonight,
here.
and he's here and, you know, for Kevin, so I don't know if you want to talk to him specifically. We can start there if Thomas wants. I will just say a couple things before he does that. You know, we do, this is a COVID-related discussion. I mean, we haven't turned anyone away from other communities at all in our facility. You know, but this is, you know, there's outbreaks in other communities, so we don't know if we want to allow the swim clubs in from out of town yet. That's going to be up to the board. That's what we're going to ask here tonight, to either to make a motion to approve or deny their request. And, you know, we do clean the facility, so it's, when they're gone, the facility does get cleaned and like we normally would. So, and we're, you know, above and beyond what we normally would be doing. And I'll let Thomas go ahead and add in and speak on Kevin's behalf.
We have been actually, all of our policies and procedures have changed, obviously, over the last 4 months or 3 months. Our cleaning process or disinfecting process, let's be clearer on that. There's a big difference between the two. Our disinfecting process is actually super, in my opinion, under control. So when swimmers do leave currently, you know, we do have our protocols set in place. All of our lifeguards know them, our front desk staff knows them, our full-time staff knows them, and we've been doing our due diligence. So the disinfecting portion, from my perspective, is not an issue. I mean, we're going to be able to clean up after whoever comes in, but I'm also, usually I'll give you my opinion on stuff. I think the reason we're bringing this to the board, though, is we need more heads to talk about this. You know, I don't want to try and make a decision either for Kevin or for Nathan or for anybody else. We really need guidance here.
The concern I have is we all are aware of what our mayor, his feelings are toward this. And, you know, are we going to be stepping on his toes if we, or, I mean, is this something, Nate, we need to run by him before we address this?
My understanding, no, this is a board decision at this point. I believe he said to move it on to the board.
Yes, in talking with Kevin, he called the mayor, and they both decided that it should come to the board.
Okay, so the mayor is aware of it?
Yes, he is.
Yes.
Yep.
Okay. That's-
Yeah, so it'll be a board decision today.
I go to the rec forum 5 days a week, and Thomas is absolutely right. I think I will never get it because I've inhaled enough disinfectant down there on working out the machines, but it's done a great job. I've seen other athletes from other towns come into the rec, and they do a great job of disinfecting before and after they're on each machine. I've been out to Cadwell and softball diamond here just the other day, saw athletes from other towns mingling with our athletes in Mitchell. They're doing a great job. They're outside, of course, but I'm all in favor of the board member for letting these kids get here and do their athletic job, staying in shape, and because it's happening all over anyway. So
I'm in agreement. If you're going to shut down these 15 kids from here on, then you basically say, well, now only Mitchell people can go use our facilities here in town.
Yeah, it would be really hypocritical of me
Yeah,
to say
right.
shut it down when I have
Right.
kids from Bridgewater, Emory,
Exactly.
when I have kids from Ethan, and all the surrounding communities coming in. Personally, I would be in favor of it too, you know, just so everybody does know that, because I have a trust in our policies, our procedures, and the way that we're actually upholding those.
you know, and I've seen the athletes that Thomas works with. They're hardworking athletes. They listen. They're very respectful when I've been there. And I've watched them, and they do a great job of, sometimes I think, over-cleaning and over disinfecting. But that's when Thomas or Adam or any of the staff tell them this is what needs to be done, they do it. And they're in and out. And I totally agree with, if you want to kill any germs, jump in a pool of chlorine and that can take care of a lot of problems that you have.
And a lot of the athletes that we do have right now are currently Riptide members. I mean, we're already training the Mitchell athletes, and it's not like we're talking we're going to train and have them on the floor, the athletes from here on. There's a very big difference between that and our facility. The flow of our facility allows us, the fact that we have 65,000 square feet does allow us to clean, disinfect, and keep traffic moving on a constant basis. If we were a little shut-in gym, if we had, 4 walls and that's it, I'd be concerned about anybody coming in. But the fact that we have the space to spread out, the fact that we have separation between all these, and they already have protocols set in place, it'd be hard for me to say no.
And within a month, our plan is to be at the outdoor park, or outdoor pool, sorry. So we will have zero contact with anyone but city employees when that starts. We'll be in and out before anyone's even there. So this is just a short-term, small issue for us.
Well, I swim 3 mornings a week, and the kids have been there, and we don't have anything to do with it. We're right down the way, but it's never any, any mixture, so I'm all for letting them come to it.
Do we have any other questions or comments? If not, I would entertain a motion
I'll second it.
to approve.
Approve the hearing, Riptide teams, use the rest of the pool.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. So moved.
Thank you very much for your time. Appreciate it. And if ever any issues, please feel free to reach out to us, the coaches or the board. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Parker.
Okay, our next delegation, Jeff Schmidt, Mitchell Baseball, Hall of Fame Memorial Request.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Jeff Schmidt. I'm the current president of the Mitchell Baseball Association. What I came here tonight was really to more just to ask you guys for some permission, hopefully, to construct a Hall of Fame wall out at the Cadwell baseball field. As you all know right now, the red Cadwell bust is being made, I guess, in Sioux Falls to be brought over here and put up, I believe, sometime in July or August. I haven't heard the latest on that. And what my thoughts or hopes and beliefs would be, in addition to that, hopefully somewhere near that, maybe just to the west of where that's planned to go up, at least to the best of my knowledge, that we could construct a wall, maybe 8 foot by 10 foot, that we could honor and recognize former either Mitchell baseball players, supporters, or board members, whoever's really kind of helped Mitchell baseball through the past, and kind of bring some recognition to them. I know in traveling to other communities, through different things, those areas always bring a lot of attention, and I just think it'd be a nice thing to kind of help complement what's all going on at Cadwell at this point. At this point, it's more really just, wanting to find out if you guys would be okay with that. Really haven't thought of anything as far as, materials and things along that line. I thought if we got the permission to go ahead, then we could talk more about that. Really not looking for any financial contribution from the board as well. It'd be funded by Mitchell Baseball or sponsors along that line. Any questions for me in regards to that?
Staff supports this request.
I think being a baseball fanatic and playing Mitchell 100 years ago, I think it's a good idea as long as everybody's in the future agreement that it's not going to be a big gaudy out of something different from what the park is all about as far as the quality of construction and all that stuff. So.
No, and my thoughts are that, I mean, if we got the permission to go ahead and proceed, that either talk with Jeremy or work with someone along that line as far as the exact, materials we'd use, the design, the shape, the size, one of my thoughts were, like I said, nothing is set in stone, would be using some kind of like, almost like their pillars to make the sides there, but would really want to work in conjunction with Jeremy as far as the size and materials and everything with that.
How does the board feel about support?
I think it's fine.
As long as Mitchell Baseball works on the state amateur baseball commissioners, keep the state amateur baseball tournament in Mitchell for the next 25 years.
We just need to keep Jocko alive forever. He's a big part of that there, I know.
I think it's safe for us to say that we would support
Okay,
that. Obviously, it's a ground-up start right now.
exactly.
We definitely want to be involved in, and definitely Jeremy.
Yeah, and that's my thing, as far as the positioning of it, the looks of it and everything with that, I mean,
And I, ultimately, what I would recommend is, once you get a plan of, in the works,
design materials
you
and,
bring it back and let the board, keep the board informed.
yep, we'll definitely do
So
that.
they know, rather than just show up out there and all of a sudden, bam.
There it is.
There it is. Anyway,
No, but I think it's also, I'm not sure exactly what the Cadwell bus is gonna look like, or materials with that too, and stuff there too, but,
we've seen it.
okay. So, yeah, well, thank you very much.
Yep, thanks, Jeff. Okay, do we have any additions or deletions to the agenda?
We just need to add the water quality report for Lake Mitchell at the end there, F.
Under F, item F,
Yes.
new business? We need a motion on this. I need a motion to add the water quality item as new business, item F. We have a second?
I'll second it.
All in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, nay. So moved. Okay, approval of minutes. Regular meeting from May 14th. Any questions or comments regarding the May 14th minutes as submitted? Other than the start time of 5:59 and 11:59 on each one of them, so. If not, I would entertain a motion to approve the May 14th regular meeting minutes. Do we have a second? Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. So moved. Approval of the special meeting, May 28th minutes. Any questions or comments with regard to those?
That was the one about the last thing.
Yep.
And as long as the Davy is back there to. I guess I'll make a motion, it's okay. Keep talking about redoing what they.
Okay.
Issue was in the paper about city, paying for that.
Okay, well, as long as that's in regard to that special meeting. The Day of the Republic, we brought it up earlier, I don't know if you were here, regarding the a special board meeting that we had with the Cadwell family and putting the bus at Cadwell Park. The article on that indicated that the city of Mitchell would be paying for that. That's not the case. The Cadwell family is donating the funds to pay for that. So, we just wanted to let you know that. Otherwise, any other comments or questions regarding the special board meeting? If not, I'd entertain a motion to approve the minutes as submitted.
I'll make a motion.
Do we have a second? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. So moved. Approval of bills.
And we'll go through the budget here, starting with page 2. Department-wide, we're off about 60,000, which is pretty good compared to last year. So revenue over, under expenditures would be 810 last year, at 870 this year. So we're about 60,000 behind, which we anticipated. Page 3 is our revenue. Total charges for goods and services, we're at 212. Where generally we're at 389. So we're way down on revenue at this point, but again, our programs are not starting till Monday, so this is going to be off regardless. So it's not going to be quite as bad as it's showing, I don't think, but we'll see how it goes. And not only that, the rec center's kind of picking back up each week, so that's also good for us. Don't have anything else in the budget section. We'll go to the bills. Actually, I'll stop on page 2 of the campground. We were behind by about 6,000 in the campground, but we caught back up by the end of May, and we are very busy at the campground. So that's good news for us. And then bills. Didn't spend much these last couple of months. Page 19, repair and maintenance of the UV system at the rec center. That's the new mechanical systems for the new pool. It's a UV system that, I don't know what it does, cleans the water. And so that's $6,700. Generally, that's supposed to last 2 to 3 years from what we anticipated. We didn't quite make 2 years of it, so that'll help us out moving forward on budgeting for that. On page 21, softball concessions upgrade of $7,800. We got hand washing sinks at the concession stands and 3 bay sinks for food handling. So that was very important to get under these times, and now we know that our staff there can wash their hands, and it's a really good addition to our concession stands there. And Andy, if you could abstain, do we have yeah, we're okay. Page 34. Repair and maintenance of field signs and entrance signs. These are the faded signs out of the Pepsi soccer complex. I'm not sure, Jeremy, if they're done yet or we're getting close to working on them. Did we get an answer on that?
No, they're done, they're out there, I think they're up.
Okay.
I know the entrance sign, he was working on each individual sign. He was gonna try to keep, if one wasn't faded too bad right now, he's gonna try to keep it. But I think all of them were faded or the sticker on them was all crusted off and ripped.
Very good. We use that as the Pepsi sign money that we have available to us. And that would be the end of the bills.
Board have any questions regarding the bills? If not, I'd entertain a motion to approve the bills as submitted. This I would like to do in a roll call vote, but I'll entertain a motion to approve it. We have a second?
I'll second it.
I just have just a question on some of the stuff that you put in for sanitizing and things like that. Is the state, is the state or has the state given any funding to municipalities as far as helping out on the COVID-19 for rec centers, baseball fields, things like that, to put up these stands for infectious control?
My understanding is the city will be requesting those funds. I think there's funds available, but I don't know what it covers or what it doesn't cover. So I can't answer that question, but we are tracking it on our end. And we can actually probably have a good report next month on how much we've spent on COVID-related items. Yep. We're getting, I think we can do that next month.
Okay, per the request of the board president, I'm going to do a roll call vote on the approval of the bills. Mary Ellen?
I approve.
Denny Merrick? Andy Yerke? Chris Redruth? Brian Johnson?
Approved.
Motion's approved and carried. Thank you.
Old business, approval of the 2021 capital request.
Okay, just a couple of edits from last month. Rather than requesting the toolcat at this time, we need to replace 2 vehicles, and we've got that in here. We also talked about the compressor units at the ice arena. We've decided that we can hold that off, and so we can focus on the pool remodel. Jeremy has been looking into it, and I'll let him comment on what he's found, and I think we're going to be okay for a few more years.
So I talked
go ahead.
to Kyle's name. He was one of the initial guys that put in the compressors on the north side. So that runs R22, which is a kind of Freon, and they no longer, as of January of 2020, they no longer make it in the U.S. or can bring it into the U.S., but they have at Ringtech 15-year supply of it right now. So that's not an issue for us now.
So our system won't last 15 more years, but we have R22. We think we've got a few more years from our conversations with Ringtech to keep that north rink going. Because every time we don't put it in the budget, we got to go through the next two seasons before we can replace it. So we're thinking 3 years in advance. We're going to get some better quotes this year and have some good numbers for you next year. We know an ammonia system can be as much as $2.1 million, and we're going to look at the 507 system, which is what the South Rink is. The South Rink's not R22. So it's a 507, right?
Yeah, it's a combination of 2 Freons, but it's not, the 22 is not environmentally friendly, so they shut down making it or bringing it in the U.S. So there's a bunch stockpiled of it.
We'll have some solid quotes for you in budget time next year for both systems. And
he said it will initially, just because people will, try to buy a bunch, but that's not going to last very long, and it'll go right back down after that.
And it's not a problem unless we have a leak. And so we've had a couple leaks last year, but we think we've got them all under control.
Yeah, I got 2 fittings broke, and it cost, I think, $4,400 one weekend. It was just fittings on the outside that went bad and broke, and we lost Freon. But there's 2 more fittings on the other side. I got cashiers coming here in a little bit to see if they can say if they need replaced or not. Said it's going to be hard to tell, but I might just get them replaced anyways.
Yeah, we'll do some preventive maintenance for going into next year. So that's why that's not on here. And mainly what we have is we need equipment replacements. We've got everything in here that we've had on our radar for quite a while. So if there's anything else that you want to add, right now, the more we add, the less control we have over what we need. I think these are some really strong needs, not really wants.
I'll Okay, so now the pool's back on the sheet?
The pool's back on here for next year because
Because
we had
that
to.
went to the city council. I mean, they discussed it.
We
We were gonna give up the pool for,
we redirected those funds for the
Ice
ice arena roof, and we're currently working on that right now.
so we will not be remodeling the pool.
This year, there's not with our budget. There will,
I'm,
yep.
okay,
Yeah.
misunderstood what you were saying there.
Oh, sorry, yeah. No, this is in there for next year.
Okay.
And this was the original amount. We got 175 is what we had for this year, but our request and what MSH gave us a quote, it was 275 is what we need to remodel that room. And so that's what we're requesting.
What's included for the 275?
The 275 is the HVAC, the electrical, the filling in of the pool, the concrete flooring, the design work, and also, furniture, fixtures, and equipment, I think is also in there. Which, I don't know, we'll be moving some equipment around, but if we save any funds on this project, we'll redirect it in the facility to another area.
Which would be equipment. And that's a necessity right now. So the 175, what we were going to do is actually we were going to take everything in the current multi-purpose room, all the old equipment that we have, and we're going to just shift it over. And we're talking about stuff that's 20, 21 years old, and I can barely find replacement parts for anymore. So we're at a position now where if we do have excess funding, we really do have to invest in our cardio and strength equipment that's in the multi-purpose room right now. And then we're going to actually reshift a lot of the different equipment to make sure that we have the equipment that we want in the necessary spaces that we have. So the cardio room, as it sits right now, traditional cardio rooms, their usage has gone down, so we're going to actually repurpose that into more of a rehab-themed post-physical therapy exercise area with new steps, shuttle, all the stuff that, a lot of people are utilizing in a normal weight room right now. We have all the designs ready. We have all the ideas ready. That would also get us new flooring as well, in-floor outlets for our cardio equipment, which would be a great thing because we have trip hazards right now with the outlets being behind treadmills. This 275 actually gets us everything that we want. So we were going to, honestly, what I was so chomping at the bit for with 175 was I just wanted that thing filled in. I want the space. We can utilize it. We can utilize the multi-purpose room for excess, not only school-age children programming, but also excess programming for our elderly population too. So we had all the ideas, but this is actually the proper way to go.
But where's the cost of we get to the point where we fill in the pool, and we move basically everything out of the multi-purpose room. And the plan, my understanding, the plan is to do the multi-purpose room for the kids. Where is the funds coming for revamping the multi-purpose room for those activities?
We would ask for that in the next budget cycle.
Yeah. So we're always,
I know.
But we could utilize the space. That's the other side of that is we're going to have a tile floor with 3,600 square feet of open space that we can program with movable equipment that's more affordable right now. So we'll be able to pull in different types of exercise and gaming equipment for our after-school program so we have that extra space.
For me, it's like buying a new vehicle, but we're not going to finance the gas of it.
Yep.
So,
it would be up to the board. If you want me to include that, I can include it.
Well, there's always something going to come up.
Yeah.
And then we end up robbing from Peter to pay Paul,
Yep. We can include other rooms, we have let me just go over the spaces that we want to remodel. It'd be the old pool room, the multi-purpose room, the entrance, and the hallways. And that pretty much covers it, right? And then we would repurpose some of that space, I think, where the current cardio room would be, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, ultimately, I'm not saying we need to do that. What I'm saying is filling in the old pool with the intent of moving everything from the multi-purpose room into that area. Now we just end up with a big room that doesn't have a pool that sits empty.
Except they could use an empty room. They would be able to find some use to that to program it for classes and and especially in a time where we need to distance ourselves, it's not a bad idea to have more open space in there. But right now, we have a room we can't use. So we would utilize that room. Even
I'm not saying it's time to remodel the
Yeah.
whole rec center. I'm just thinking,
But if you wanted to, like, I'm not gonna say no.
well, you know, and truth be told, given what the city is facing right now, this is a grandiose plan. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't, you know, chances of this getting approved, I just don't see it. So, but, okay.
Trade it in, or?
Yeah, we'll trade some off. Some of it, they don't want, and it'll go in surplus. Anything that we can't actually trade into, either Pro Pedal Pull or Nova Fitness will actually be put on surplus and the public can get it. We actually, a couple of our ellipticals have over 100 million strides on them. And they're, 20 years old, but we keep replacing parts, and I mean, they're still working. They're just not, they're not state of the art by any means. So we need to take that into consideration. And, the cost of equipment, trying to get older equipment fixed, as there's less out in the free market as far as parts go, it makes those costs go way higher. So an arm for a weight machine that might have been $50 10 years ago, now that there's only 10 left, that's $500, and they're going to get their money for it, but we have to replace it.
And Jeremy and Steve are also facing that same problem with old equipment that I want to make sure that we don't forget about. We have 60 vehicles and mowers and tractors. We replaced one last year. So if you're doing one a year, I can't expect to replace that piece of equipment for another 60 years. I mean, that's not a sustainable replacement program. So we got to keep these all of it on here and let them know what our needs are. And some of those funds, we hope, in the remodel would go towards equipment in the rec center. And all of it needs to be done. So we have a lot of needs here, I think, that are being addressed.
Do we have to take any action on that?
Yeah, I'd like a motion to approve, or if there's any additions, you can do that as well.
No park equipment this year? No park equipment, no playground equipment?
No, the only playground equipment is the skate park that we're trying to get done this year. That would be the only item that I have on here. Mainly, we're trying to keep this at a minimum this year because of the budget struggles that are coming up. We do have that matching grant that was already awarded to us. And I have requested more funds, so I'm hoping this number will go down. More grant funds.
Any other questions or comments regarding the 2021 capital requests? Does anybody have anything they'd like to see added, removed? If not, I'd entertain a motion to approve the 2021 capital request as submitted. We have a motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. So moved. Recreation report.
All right, does anybody have any questions on the recreation report that was put together? Yep. Yeah, the 8th actually. So Monday we started opening back up for ages, third grade, sorry, not ages, on up to be unsupervised, not unsupervised as far as staff goes, but unsupervised as far as we were requiring them to be with a parent or a guardian. Prior to that, we opened swim on the 8th too, so we have 1 to 5 guarded. And so we've been seeing quite a little increase in that. And I'll actually talk about our numbers if you guys want, because I have everything statted out for you. But it's not as many as I thought were going to come through the doors as far as the unsupervised kids, which is good. I wanted to emphasize, and I did this on the radio a couple times, it's not going to be a drop-off daycare. It's not a place that we want you to stay. We don't want kids loitering around. We want people in and out. If they have a purpose for being there, come in, get it done. We want you back out the door, because we don't want basically kids in one area in groups and then an adult walking by them and having the risk of disease transmission.
Lastly, Jamie mentioned that she's going to try to keep different groups 6 feet away in pools.
Yeah.
Here's how that's going, because I just can't imagine how you keep kids 6 feet away.
Yeah, the same way that it's going in the gyms. It's almost impossible realistically. So we, as a staff, make sure that we maintain our distance. We maintain our 6 feet. We've changed our training styles. We've made sure to adapt to the situation. Personally, I can't speak from the pool because I'm deathly afraid of water and you'll never see me in there. But on the floor, it'll apply similarly. What we've done is we've gone up and had those conversations with adults, with the teams that we're actually working with, the athletes. And we have those conversations constantly about, hey, just make sure you maintain your distance. We set circuits up that are at least 6 feet apart. We make sure that people stay on one piece of equipment. I mean, we've completely adapted and evolved. But there's a lot of adults that just say whatever, and they want to talk to their friends. They haven't seen them in months, and they get within 2 feet of each other. I'm not going to walk up and then add a third person to that situation and try and split them up physically. So it's been a little bit challenging from that standpoint, but it's really on people to take care of themselves too. If you're coming to the center and you're not practicing physical distancing, then as an adult, that's really on you. Now for kids, she hollers, Jamie, so she'll get after them, and she has been back there in the pool trying to just reiterate the fact that that's how this gets spread. Make sure you maintain your distance, but it's not ever going to be perfect.
And I do want to add that we haven't had any overcrowding issues yet at either pool. Exactly. So we don't have that. We did lower our numbers allowed outside the pool area. So usually it's 1,200 at the outdoor pool. We've dropped that down to 400. That's 113 square feet per person, which is a 6 feet circle. And 100 in the indoor pool would be max that we would allow in that facility. But we've had 15 to 20 in the indoor pool, but we did have 200 and plus come into the outdoor pool on Monday throughout the day, but not large crowds all at once for the most part. And we've separated all the seating and the the lawn chairs.
The lawn chairs, yeah.
We've separated them so that way people are picking their little areas and their families are just sticking with those areas. Saw a lot of kids with masks on, and I think everyone seems to be kind of self-policing there.
Well, the change of the chairs, I thought last month you guys said we were going to bring in lawn chairs and a lot of them, and now I read the paper, I said we're going to have 50 chairs out.
Yeah, and again, I can't speak to that,
Yeah.
the outdoor pool.
No, that was, I guess, a change that Kevin made, just looking at did he want them to bring in outside chairs, and we felt we can clean them often enough when they get up off of them, go over there, get them cleaned, and ready for the next person. But we only have a small number of them out there. So I want to say, would you say 50? Is that what you? Yeah. And usually we have a couple hundred, I think. So we've dropped that down the same level as our capacity. Most people I saw sitting out in the grass and finding their space.
So are there any other questions about what we're doing on the floor, our procedures, our policies, what we've changed, or have you guys been filled in kind of on where we're at with everything?
Other than the lawn chairs, I can't think of much that would have changed since last month.
We did reopen the locker rooms up at the rec center. we were actually potentially losing a lot of memberships to that, and it's basically, again, our thought process is people have to police themselves, take care of yourself. Your personal health is really up to you, and that's the stance that we have. So we did open those locker rooms back up. Nobody has been, again, overcrowding or gathering, and they used to. It really used to be a social spot for people too. Everybody, I can't praise our members enough for, like Denny said earlier, wiping down their equipment before and after they're using it, making sure they're maintaining distance as much as they can, washing their hands, using hand sanitizer. They're doing everything that we've asked them to do. The locker rooms are impossible to monitor, of course, but at the same point, we still have not started towel service. That people are having to bring their own towels, either for sweat towels or they're having to bring their own towels for their shower towels. What we are doing is providing disinfecting towels, and they are, hundreds a day are actually being used, and that's really how you can tell, whether or not people are actually utilizing those. We would have Clorox wipes, but we can't get them. They're out.
I would also like to add that a lot of kids are coming with their suits on and coming right in and leaving and not utilizing the locker rooms, which is fine.
And that's one of the Riptide protocols. They want to make sure that the kids aren't actually interacting or crossing over and in a spot where they could or possibly have disease transmission. So that's one of the protocols that they actually set in place, and they are sticking to it. I guess I'll just run through a couple of the numbers. I won't be long-winded like usual. So basically, there's three numbers that matter. When we started and we opened back up versus last year in the exact same time period, we were off, or we were down 180 check-ins, okay? Yesterday, we were down 29. So in that time, we have narrowed that gap, and we've actually gotten back to a point where we're almost functioning and operating at full capacity. When I say full capacity, don't gasp. It means that we're doing the numbers that we were doing last year safely as well. Again, 65,000 square feet makes it a lot easier for us to actually function with, a couple hundred people coming in a day, and we do space that out over our time. We have 55 athletes right now that we are working with currently. Again, spaced out over 8 hours. We make sure that we maintain distance, utilize gyms, spread everybody out. And the third number is the number of check-ins per day. So 200 is like my golden number. We hit it on Monday. We were at 207, and then we were actually at 209 yesterday, which means that we're trending in the right direction. Basically, the decrease is this year versus last year. So we're starting to see that number decrease as far as missed check-ins. The increase is check-ins per day, and we're starting to see that steadily increase. But it's at a pace that we can control right now, which is awesome. It's not 500 people walking through the door on day one. We had the chances to actually get our policies and procedures in place in real life, which is great. It's the best case scenario for us, especially the floor personnel. With that, we're actually talking about our alignment with James Valley Community Center as well. We're not going to do anything as far as senior programming until they do it. We want to make sure we're giving the exact same message, not confusing anybody. So our Silver Sneakers program, which has taken a giant hit, which was a huge part of our revenue stream, it's in hold until at least phase 3 in their guidelines, which will not be for at least a couple months. So we've changed our marketing because of that. So essentially, we are starting to pull back our marketing on certain stations to make sure that we're pushing it towards outdoor programming and utilization of the rec center. The reason we're doing that is because we still morally cannot promote social gatherings for older people right now. It's just, it's too dangerous, and we want to make sure that we're running in line with exactly what James Valley's policies and procedures are, which we are. So as we get more updates on that, we'll make sure to fill you guys in. But we're basically riding their coattails with that one because we want to make sure we're still providing or utilizing the same message that they are providing for our community. And we do have a community spread plan. Nathan had everybody put together widespread community transmission plans. If we do get into a situation where we do have to start pulling back instead of just shutting down, we do have a full plan in place that we wrote last week. We know exactly what we need to expect. We're ready for it. So essentially, instead of catching us off guard like it did last time, what's going to happen is we'll actually have certain safe falls that we'll have in place to make sure that we can still function and still provide that community service.
Okay. Thank you, Thomas.
Yep.
Parks and Forestry report, Steve.
Well, we kind of had a later start to our spring this year because of the COVID, but we're finally getting things caught up, I think, as far as getting stuff turned on, the shelters, restrooms, irrigation systems. Been working at the pool, got that up and going. Our play feature pump had to get a bunch of work done to it. We had to replace the impeller, the seals, and I believe they replaced some bearings on that. Been doing our typical spring tasks. You know, we fertilize Hitchcock, Pioneer Parks, downtown areas. We had to fix a bunch of vandalism at Camp Arroyo. Somebody went in, kicked a bunch of doors in, broke a couple windows on some of them buildings that don't get used in that area. We also had some spray paint at the bandstand here a couple weeks ago. And then this past Sunday, and actually last night until today, we had somebody at Northridge start a couple fires in the restroom up there. We're trying to clean that up and stuff. The women's side had a little bit more damage than the men's side, that they lit a couple books on fire sometime overnight last night. So we're seeing a lot of more vandalism.
I would like to add to that, if you don't mind. We've had vandalism pretty much every weekend since COVID started. A lot of kids with nothing to do. So we've been seeing that pretty much every weekend.
Bike trail down the Dry Run Creek, that's pretty hard.
Yep, that's one of Jeremy's he's had to take care of too. Other than that, you know, we got our stuff out the lake, all the fishing piers put out, the buoys out. Full-time staff has been doing a lot of the mowing for first part of May, you know, during our hiring freeze that we had on seasonal staff. But we got our flowers planted in the gardens in Hitchcock, downtown areas. Just doing some irrigation repairs. Work has begun finally on that building for the tennis association that they were going to build between the two tennis complexes. They came, what has it been now, 2 years almost? And it kept getting delayed. But they're finally got going on the dirt work. They got the concrete done. And I think Quality Homes now was going to build it. At first it was going to be the high school. 1 year the teacher left, so we had a new teacher that pushed it back. And then they were going to start this spring, and the COVID, with high school kids and schools being closed, that pushed that all off. So now they got Quality Homes, I believe, that's going to build the structure. It's going to look pretty much like the other tennis shed that they do have, just not quite as big. Other than that, just day-to-day operations. This week's been pretty much nothing but tree work since that storm we had. In town is pretty much done. Might get a few more phone calls to hangers and odds and ends, but then we got a lot of work to do out around the lake yet, as far as tree cleanup. Any questions for me?
No. Thank you, Steve. Okay, sports complex, Jeremy.
We've kind of been jumping around. First it was the heat wave, so getting irrigation going. We had 5 or 6 breaks that we took care of with that. Out at the soccer field, there's a lot of plug heads from our beautiful lake water. So he's been going through those. Some heads aren't turning, so we're replacing those. We started slow pitch softball. Tonight is their third week. Yep, second week for men's. They started a week later. So that's going good. And this weekend we have our first tournament. It's the low rank tournament. They cut it about in half. They're only doing 3 games per day. They're going to say no sitting in the bleachers and tell people to bring their lawn chairs. They bring in portable fences at 200 feet so people can sit all in the outfield and down the lines. Next weekend is our Harv's tournament. I think it's going to kind of be the same situation. I haven't got a schedule yet, but they're talking about half the teams that they would normally bring in. We got sunshades up today for the softball fields. Park and Rec starts on Monday. They're just doing practices, so we'll have, the A and C going Monday through Friday, and they're combining their National League and their Rookie League just for practices, so that'll be 9 to noon, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. They're not doing any games, just doing practices. Yeah, and then a bunch of trees this week. And just continuing mowing, continuing cleaning. Mowing will be, even though it's hot, we still got water going. So mowing is continuous. And now a lot more garbage and stuff to pick up. It's getting back to pretty much full swing with practices and games. I think we have, this week we'll have 2 games on the stadium and 4 dates for doubleheaders on Drake, plus this tournament. And that's kind of about average, 2 or 3 on the stadium and 3 to 4 on Drake per week. So that'll go up until towards the end of July, and then the state amateur tournament, if they're still having that, as of now they are. That's about it.
Have you been able to fill your summer shaft now?
Yep.
So you're up. You're up to speed on that.
Now that everything's going, I'm sure, same with Steve, they're plenty busy.
Yeah, thanks, Jeremy. Department report, Nate.
Yep, I'll go through some highlights here. We have the POS system installed at the softball complex, and if you're out there, we take Visa, Apple Pay, Samsung Pay.
Any card you want.
Yeah.
Apple Pay.
And go out there.
Cash.
Yep.
No checks though.
Don't have, he's doing very well out there, and we're good to see that going. We have the solutions for the ice arena roof leaks were approved by council, and we've been moving forward on that. Should be going out to bid in probably next week or 2. And hopefully we'll have that done before the snow flies. That's the goal here. Again, we were kind of operating the department under an ongoing virus category. There's a lot of words like widespread community outbreak, but we kind of been following the ongoing. So if anything changes, we're ready to move either direction if need be, if we're called upon to do that. So we have multiple plans in place and ready to go, so we don't have to close necessarily, but we could close parts of facilities. So we're just keeping up on that, and so far so good. Like I said, the programs also start on Monday as well, our Parks and Rec programs, and we're kind of in the middle of the road on what we're doing. We're not completely opening up and doing what we normally would, but we're keeping kids separated and cleaning equipment and doing all the things that we need to do to keep everybody safe. Let's see. We do have the sports complex crew leader position closing on the 16th, so we're hoping to get that position filled fairly quickly. So I think on Monday we'll probably start sending out invites for interviews next Monday or Tuesday. And I think that about does it.
Jeremy, did you get this sports complex crew leader?
It doesn't close till the 16th, till next Tuesday.
Been open for what, 2 or 3 weeks now?
30 days.
How long?
30 days.
It's been busy. We've been down
Right.
a full-time guy for
Right.
3 months.
I just don't understand why it takes 30 days to hire somebody when you're down people and you need the help. Why that couldn't have been backed find somebody in 2 weeks? Do you have some good applicants?
We have about 5 or 6 applicants. I don't know, we haven't reviewed them yet, so we're hoping we get some more. I mean, shorter you run it, the less applicants we usually get. We're hoping to get some good applicants. So I can't really comment on individuals, but.
How many positions are we looking for?
What's that?
How many positions?
Just the one.
Just one?
Yeah, the foreman position. Yeah.
Okay. Anything else, Nate, you wanted to add?
No, that's all.
Okay, well, thank you. Review anonymous request for buoys at North Bowman access.
Okay, so I got a call this week of a concerned citizen about children swimming in this area and going too far out and concerned about getting hit by a boat. There's a couple of things. We have 3 beaches: public beach, sandy beach, and the campground beach. And when we call it a beach, we have to do water testing and under state standards, and Steve can comment on that. So those are the only 3 beaches. We don't really have a request to add a beach. And I don't also request that we put out buoys where people swim, because we would have to look at every area in the lake to put buoys, to put out a warning that there's boats. This isn't the only place that they swim outside of beaches. But because of the safety issue, I felt it needed to come to the board, and I would seek a motion to deny the request to place buoys in this area.
I know this property, and I know this situation.
Okay.
I know the client, and I'm guessing I know who would be anonymous. But, and I was there when she showed me what was going on, and it is a hazard. Now, I understand the whole beach thing, I get it.
Yeah.
But it was happening. The kids were swimming. What they do is they just start swimming, and next thing you know,
Well,
they're like, but it's like you said, it's everywhere.
Yeah.
you know, literally, I don't care whether you go to the public beach, whatever, there's buoys out. Guess what? They go beyond that.
Yeah.
So whether the buoys are there or not is secondary.
Sure.
Yeah, I wasn't saying deny or.
Yeah.
I understand it because I saw
Sure,
it. I was
sure.
there. I was standing there. It was on that warm day.
I have
It's
it,
way out there and the boats are going by and going.
and we're busier than we've been probably in a very long time.
Did you do this picture?
I,
Is that the actual color of the lake?
it was when the picture was taken.
Yeah.
Sorry, I had to. So you don't recommend it?
This is an access area, not a beach. We don't call it a beach, so we don't promote it as a beach. People can swim wherever they want in the lake. Steve?
It always was kind of a natural sand area. We've added a little bit every now and then because that's a pretty steep hill there by the picnic shelter, and the rain, washes it out. We've added some. But on a dry year, that sand area is maybe 5 to 8 feet wide. It's not like a big beach or anything. Right now, it's completely underwater from our rain that we just had. But
Come August, it'll be a huge beach, because there won't be any water. And it'll be all green, so, yeah.
But this spring has been really busy, I'm thinking, because the water's been so good, so clear. Pool's been closed, we just got that open here recently. People are looking for stuff to do,
Well, if it's a public access area, and that's what it's going to remain as, why do we even have to take any action?
Because I think it's well, because it was a request. I just would like you to deny the request, because it is a safety issue. I don't want it to be a staff decision, it needs to be a board decision. That's my answer. I'm not saying I'm right, Brian, and so.
Board have any comments on that? Okay. Well, seeing how Nate is requesting that we do not approve it, is any board member in favor of putting up these?
I know vote is also a denial.
Yeah.
Just,
Yeah.
you can
The
just,
wording of this thing is.
Yeah. So you don't have to vote, because that would be the same as denying.
Well, personally, I mean, if it's, that's our standard protocol that we do not do that for public access areas.
No.
I mean, just because the public thinks it's a beach does not make it a beach. And so. Okay, so we entertain a motion.
You can have a motion, or just a lack of motion will kill
Yeah.
it.
Does anybody want to make a motion on this?
I don't think anybody here is in favor of it, so let's just go with Nick's thing. Let's not do it this year.
Okay,
Lack of
dies for
motion.
lack of a motion. Leave things as it was. Okay, water quality.
Okay, I'll do this one real quick. We have our phosphorus that you see, we've had our lowest levels since we've been testing back in, if you look on the second page, there's a blue line with our phosphorus in the center of the lake. So this is our lowest level since August of 2017 and before that. A lot of rain last year, and I'm not going to really get into the science. I'm not an expert on why we got so low, but the last week of May and the first week of June was even lower than the last week of May. So we're actually even a little bit lower. We were 180 in the center of the lake. In this last week, we were 170. Our microcystin levels, this is what dictates whether or not we have a watch or a warning. They're just trace amounts, and right now it's in a lake that you can swim in. So. So there's no watches and warnings at this time.
Okay, next meeting date.
I thought the board would like to know during this too, that a lot of people had it out there. There's about 20 guys out in the lake right now. And they were there all last night, and they'll be there all tonight, cleaning off every one of those trails, with chainsaws and going over hard. Some point, there's still guys that deserve some credit. I never hear anything from us, and, we work hard. But then and I don't get there that often, but they're out there once a month with hand picks, chopping edges and everything else, keep those trails the way they are. We're lucky to have them, so.
Yeah, we are very, very thankful to have them. I mean, we wouldn't get that work done without them. Steve's crew, I mean, especially when we have storms like this, they're just nonstop right now. And, yeah.
They've been going since, I don't know, I got a text about 3 o'clock this afternoon, they were going, and all out there for the night, so they're going.
Very good.
And there's more people, I was out there today, so there's more people working on that than there was going somewhere. So I was impressed. It was really good.
And it's really pretty amazing if you ride out there, I don't know how many you guys ride out there, it is amazing how many people you meet from other places that are starting. It wasn't that way a couple years ago, but lately, man, there's people from all over using that trail. It's pretty cool.
I think I saw one more
Thanks, Amy, for sharing that. Next board meeting, second Thursday of the month would be the 9th. Is that a problem? You can't go on vacation?
I should add real quick that there is no wake on Lake Mitchell right now because it's at 17 inches above where it's supposed to be. I haven't heard. Yep. So it's a no wake zone right now.
Everybody okay with July 9th, 6 o'clock? So that's what we'll put down for our next meeting. Unless anybody's got any additional information they want to add or share with the board. If not, I will adjourn this meeting. Thank you all for coming. Huh? I was done. Yep.
Thanks, Chris.
I think for now, let's leave it, because I talked to Steve about it, because I think that's where the kids are gonna be, is on Kids Rock.